How's it going? So this time I'm going to show us how we go through the process of reusing the wheel from acetoning to refurbishing the wheel to gluing and prepping the tire and balancing the whole life cycle of a wheel. So right here is a AKA wheel and a AKA impact tire that I've used and had fun. Now it's instead of discarding it and throwing it away, we're going to show you how to acetone the wheel and the steps that I go through. So this tire and wheel is done being used, had its fun. So what I'm going to do is take these are some body scissors, and they usually work better than any full-size scissors, but some body cutting scissors. And then what I'm going to do is do a little snip. I don't want to damage the foam. I'm going to reuse the foam. So I started a little initial cut. Now I'm just going to leave just enough rubber so that way I can grab it when it gets in the acetone bucket. So I've gone through here and I've made a complete cut all the way around. Off camera I already cut this side too, so just imagine I went and did the same cut on the other side. So now what I'm going to do is peel the tire part off that I cut, and just that'll get thrown in the trash. So now we have the foam, and I'll pull the foam off and I'll reuse the foam maybe about 3 times or so. That's a judgment call on how it's looking. This looks good, so I'm going to reuse this foam. So be careful when cutting that you don't get too aggressive with the tire, that you cut the foam. It seems like I did get a little chip in there, so be careful. I've damaged a lot of foams doing that, so be careful. Now is the time to inspect the wheel. Obviously it's dirty and messy, but that's okay. What we're really looking for is if the hub has been rounded out. If you're reusing your own wheels, you know the wheel's probably in good shape, but sometimes I'll get wheels from other racers or a used bucket, or there's usually like a free bin of used wheels at your hobby shop. So I'm just inspecting for cracks. The hub isn't rounded out, that it's not excessively bad. This looks good. It's just dirty. So the other things that I've noticed is balancing. So there's some balancing clay, and what I'm going to do is take a screwdriver. Seems to work best, and I just will take that balancing clay out. Pretty simple. Just boom, done. And then a lot of racers will mark the wheel. This is AKA, so SL to me is soft long wear. That's the compound. So I'm going to take I use tape because I reuse the wheel, but you can, I mean, if you just write on the wheel, that's not a big deal either. Then you just mark it off. It's just when I start writing on the wheel, and then I'm reusing the wheels probably 3 times or so in the acetone, there's just a lot of extra writing on there. So now we've got the wheel almost ready for acetone. I like to do a general cleanup. I don't like to make the wheel detailed, but I don't like to dilute the acetone with a lot of dirt and mess it up. So what I'm going to do here is go into this water bucket that I have. If it's pretty bad, you can do a quick deal of simple green. So the wheel has lightly been cleaned, and I probably cleaned it a little bit more aggressively, knowing that I'm on camera here to show what I do. So with that, I'm going to pause the video, and next one I'm going to show you. I'll let this dry for a couple hours, blow it off with the air compressor, and then let it completely dry. I don't like to put a wet wheel into the acetone bucket. So after this dries for a few hours, I'm going to show you putting it into the acetone bucket. All right. Okay, so we have the AKA wheel after cutting out the foam and the tire, and we cleaned it, so it's been lightly cleaned. So now what I have here is 1 gallon jug of acetone that I've gotten at Lowe's, and a Lowe's bucket. What I find works pretty good is a 5-gallon bucket with the lid. So I'm just going to completely submerge the wheel into the acetone. So here we go. And then, you know, be smart with acetone. Let's wear some gloves, and I got the fan going on in the background for ventilation for the fumes. So AKA wheel, there's the yucky vat of acetone. So I put them in upside down and just let some acetone get in there, and then I'll push it down with a junky screwdriver. And I'll put about 5 of them in there, usually 5, and then I can put another row, 10. So usually I can fit 10 at a time, and then you want to let this sit for at least 24 hours. You know, longer is obviously better, 48 hours, but 24 hours, they usually seem ready in that 24 to 48 hour window period. So then I've got the lid, and then snap that shut, and then you let that soak, like I said, the 24 to 48 hours. So after this is set, I'm going to show how to prep the wheel and get on to the next phase of the cycle of its tire life. Okay, I'm going to pull the wheel out of the acetone bucket. This is actually a different bucket that I have, so I've got some other wheels in here. Let's grab that and see what we see. Again with the gloves, and then grab some type of tongs or long needle nose pliers. So we've got some soaking in here. I need to add a little bit of acetone. You can see the tops of them. So that peels off. There's some residue there that I'm going to show us what we're going to do next. Ooh, a little bit sticky. Okay. That part wasn't completely submerged. I need to add a little bit of acetone, which I'll do here in a little bit, and then it'll be ready. So I'm just going to take the one out for now and show us the next step here. But what we have here is, you know, wheel ready to use, well, after some prep, but we've got the tire part off of it fairly clean. We got some glue residue on here. The hub looks good. I've got holes drilled in there. That's the way I like to do holes there instead of the tire. Yeah, let's move on to the next part. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the Dremel, and you can use whatever tip you like, but I found this type of, I'm not sure the name of this type of tip, but it fits in the channel here pretty good, and we're just going to go for it. So now what we're looking for is we need to scuff that residue off of there, so that gives a good clean glue joint between the wheel and the tire. So that's scuffed up pretty nice. You can see it's a lot of fresh plastic for the glue joint. The rest of the wheel looks, pretty used and not so hot, but it's in good condition, and saving, what, $16 or whatever the set is. It's been so long, I don't even remember what they cost. So with that, we're going to set that aside. The hole's already been drilled, so don't forget, if you want to if you want air relief, you can do it here, or if you prefer, you can punch, 2 holes in the tire tread with the tire punching tool. I tend to do this. I'm not on a very loamy track. I think you do it in the tire, so that way the dirt, centrifugal force pulls the dirt out of the tire, when it's spinning and being used. But the track I'm on is pretty hard clay and it's not too dusty, so I generally like this way and not messing with the tire. But either way. So with that, I'm going to grab a tire and I'm going to show you how I prep the tire and moving on to the next step. So here is a brand new AKA Impact soft long wear. It's the same type of tire that I had before, but this one is new. I'm going to show you how to prep it. There's the wheel. We'll set that aside. So I've got the Dremel. I put a different grinding bit on here, so just find whatever type of grinding bit that works good for you on the rubber. I'm not sure what this type of stone grinding bit is, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to scuff. I have not done anything to the tire, so I'm just going to scuff the entire bead through here, and then I'm going to, after that, I'm going to clean it down with brake clean once all the residue's off. So here we go, Dremel, tire. I want to show you the differences. You can see the scuffed side obviously is very rough texture, and here it's a very smooth texture. This is bad for glue joint. There's chemical treatments or whatever the residue from when they're making the tire that doesn't get cleaned off. So I used to use the brake clean, but you spend a lot of money actually using a lot of brake clean. But I'm going to continue on with the Dremel here. And yes, it is a messy process. So now I'm going to take the brake clean. You can just see all that black gunk from being scuffed off there. And it takes a couple of shots. So now we've got a nice scuffed side ready for gluing. I'm going to do the other side of this tire, and when we come back, we'll start gluing it to the wheel and go to the gluing and tire balancing part. Okay, now have the tire fully prepped on both sides. It's been scuffed with the Dremel. That looks good, and it's been cleaned with the brake clean and wiped dry It took a few swipes of the brake clean. It's very dry now. Just make sure you do a very good job with the brake clean on there. So we got a fully scuffed deal, and the wheel has been scuffed from earlier. So there's the foam that we took out of the used tire wheel. So now I'm going to put this in here, and I scrunch it down like this. Just kind of work the foam in there. Okay, that looks good. The edge is around there. So putting the tire on the wheel. Just keep working it until you get the bead on the bead of the tire on the bead part of the wheel. Make sure the foam isn't kinked or anything unusual. I just keep going around working the edges. Make sure the foam feels good. It didn't get ripped or torn or kinked or anything unusual. So I just kind of work the wheel around with my palms and make sure everything is good. I think we got a well-mounted tire and foam on the wheel. That seems good. So I typically use this jig, but it's not required. We may do part of it with it. So put this guy up on here, and the way the jig works, this little piece, there's an arrow for direction. So you put this up here, and this spins around, and you can see it leaves a part open to do the gluing part. And then I use this thick glue. I don't like to glue at the track and be in a rush. I like to take my time with the tires, and this takes about 2 hours to cure completely, I think. So I do a test run all the way around. That looks like we got a good bead there, and then make sure the glue is running here. Okay, that looks good. So what we're going to do is put the glue in here, and I take this green mark, and that way I know I've been all the way around. So let me see if the camera gets in here good. So here we go. I get pretty generous with the glue. Just keep working all the way around smoothly, making sure the glue is flowing good. So we reach our point. I do one spin around extra just to make sure everything is smooth, everything looks good. And I take some tissues and I wipe the excess glue off. And you got in the wheel. Then grab the tire rubber band. Maybe one more time with the glue, so more glue starts to pop out from using the tire rubber band. So I'll let that sit for probably half an hour, and then I'll glue the other side. But I'm going to grab another tire wheel to show the balancing process. But pretty much that's a glued and reused wheel with new tire on there, and saved you about $16 for that process. So I'll set that aside. Okay, this tire wheel is continuing to dry over there, and I'm going to balance this other wheel, which is also AKA soft long wear. I'm just going to rebalance it. Sometimes you may need to rebalance, but I generally don't rebalance after a while. But so just pretend this is a freshly glued tire wheel. There's no balancing clay in here. And then I take my little stuff here, and I'll show you what we got going on here. So this is a team associated balancing wheel assembly. It looks weird because I duct taped it to a 2x4 block in this little metal bracket, so it acts as a stand, so it can stand by itself. So it may look a little janky or homemade, 'cause it kind of is, but I recommend getting a wheel balancer that's on a stand. When I bought this wheel balancer, it wasn't on a stand, and I didn't think anything of it at the time, but I like to have one on a stand, so I just kind of modified this to be on a stand. So this is AKA wheel balancing clay. Then what I do is with the X-Acto knife, in preparation, I just cut like a stick of butter, and I cut some little slits of the clay, just getting ready to use it. It's easier when it's all ready to go. So now I got a bunch of little pieces of this clay to use for wheel balancing. So this piece unscrews, and we're going to put the wheel in here, and this is it's like a concentric deal, so it'll center itself. It will center itself as I put this on here and screw it in. Pretty simple actually. So I'm just got it kind of snug to tight, and then what I like to do is I like to give a big spin, and I can feel you can feel the vibrations kind of in my hand, and I can already judge how much clay it's going to use just from my experience. So once I spun that, I set it down, and then I slow it down, or just give it a light spin here and give it a little shake. You can slow it down. We don't need to balance the wheels perfectly. We just kind of need to take the edge off, or like I like to say, kind of take the stupid out of it. Just take the edge off of it. So once it stopped spinning, I put my finger at the very top, and I'm going to put two things of about that much clay. I can kind of tell. That's probably about how much it needs. And you want to push it into the back of the wheel. You'd be surprised on these 8 scales, like the steering spindles and the hubs, they take some space. So you want to make sure you get that clay out of the way. And that's pretty much the process. We'll spin it again. I can tell, well, it probably needs a little bit more, but it's a little bit better. So let's see where this clay ends up. And I keep tapping it just to make sure it doesn't get kind of stuck or whatever. So the top part, so it moved to the side a bit, so I may put just a touch more. That was probably good enough, actually, what was there. But I think ideally you want it to balance to the side. Seems to be about ideal. I don't like to put clay. Don't keep putting clay at the top, and then it's over here, then you put some more to the top. Just put some in there so that way it balances. So if it's somewhere about, the sides, about there to there, anywhere on the side seems to be ideal. So if I spin it again, yeah, that's spinning smoother. That's going to be good. That's pretty smooth. I like that. Keep tapping it, keep tapping. Let's see where it goes, where it goes, where it goes, where it goes. Keep tapping. So put my finger to the top. Yeah, that's pretty much dead even onto like the 3 or the 9 o'clock position, which is ideal. So I think that's spot on. And now we'll just take that off of there. And it's easy to get carried away balancing. It'll take, you can spend a lot of time doing that. But that's pretty much the end of the cycle. We've gone through taking apart a used tire wheel, reusing the wheel, acetoning, preparing it, cleaning it, scuffing it. And now you've got a wheel ready and balanced, and it'll perform well for you out there on the track. Hope this helps you out. All right, bye.